live. Wayne Moore.
What's up, man?
How you
What's
doing?
up?
It's nice to meet you, brother.
Pleasure.
Thank you
pleasure.
for coming on. I really appreciate your time. One thing I've picked up on from a distance is you're a dynamic person, talent, human being. In your bio, I kind of quickly read where you're from. I just want to start with a little bit of background back in Jamaica, Portland, Jamaica. Who was Wayne Moore at that when he was living in Jamaica?
A baby. I was a baby, man. Honestly, my family always teases me because they're like, I was born in Jamaica, but I came to Canada when I was like 2.
Oh, so you're that young? Okay.
That young. I probably went back a few times, like every 3-4 years.
Yeah.
But then once I kind of got to high school and took football serious, it was kind of hard to get that time to go back, you know?
Right. And so you immigrated from Jamaica. Once you got here, did art come first or did football come first?
Shoot.
Right?
I never thought of that. I would say football.
Okay.
Because just sports as a whole. Like when we came to Canada and the first place we were was in Chalk Farm.
Okay.
Off of like Jane and Wilson. And then I didn't
Toronto, right?
Pardon?
In Toronto. Toronto, yeah.
And then I have a little bit of memory there, but I was really young. But a lot of my memories kicked in from Duncanwoods.
Okay.
That's off of like Islington and Finch. And that's when sports was just really became, I think that was in front of me.
And how old were you at that point in time?
I would say like maybe 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah. And sports is everywhere.
Right.
Guys are just mad talented.
Yeah.
And I just gravitated towards it.
So that's when it started for you. And so the love of sports came first. And was it always in football or was it basketball? Were you an all-around athlete or?
All around. I always did every sport. I always did soccer, track, basketball, football, even volleyball. Like literally everything up until the later, like grade 8 when I started to kind of specify sports more. But I always gravitated towards football. I wasn't able to play in like a league because they never had leagues for kids at that time. Yeah.
There's not a lot of choices in Canada, right?
I know. But I always seen like the older guys play and I would always admire it.
Yeah.
But I just kept waiting like, man, I want to play. I want to try.
Okay. And so sports was first. What really, really is interesting about you is, like, in my opinion, a really talented artist.
Thank you.
I mean, with the vibrant colors that you use and just you.
Yeah, thank you, man.
You can tell. You actually brand your culture, I believe.
Yes.
With the colors that you pick up from being from Jamaica.
Yes.
And I know those certain colors. How did you get to that? How did you stick to that, and how did you run with it? You know, no pun intended. I know you're running back.
The earliest memories I have of art is from stories of my family.
Okay.
My aunts, like our family, we had like a big household, so all of us were in a house. However, we made it work. Mm-hmm. But my aunt, she always admired the way I held the pencil firm, and she said I would doodle, but like she was just she was taken aback of how I would write at that time and just doodle. And then from there, from my memory, I would always try and draw. Like, I really gravitated towards Dragon Ball Z, those characters.
Yes.
So I would always draw like Trunks and Gohan and Goku. But then I really took to drawing family pictures. I would just take like family pictures of my niece or my cousins around the house and just try and draw them. Or like even nature. I loved birds. So I would go to the library. I wouldn't necessarily be reading the books, but I just kind of flip the pages and just draw animals that I see that I gravitate towards. And it just kind of it was like a constant outlet for me away from the sports.
I noticed you're left-handed.
Yeah, it's tough. So I would draw with my left. I draw with my left, but then I do athletics with my right. Like
there's a term for that.
I hear ambidextrous, but I don't know if it falls under that category because it's not like I draw with my right. Like, you know. So,
I see. That's so cool. I find that very interesting. So it started from home, family. Started from back home as far as your art. You know, how you come up from, you know, where you get to where you find inspiration.
Yes.
Is there an artist as you're coming along that you gravitate to, that you said, oh man, you know what, I like that work? Or is it just completely within the Wayne Moore's mind?
I won't take full credit for that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would say in my early memory,
Yeah.
I feel like it was just purely, just wanting to create.
Right.
As I gravitated towards the art more, I would say within the past few years, based on research, just researching the industry and what's really out there, I really gravitated towards Basquiat's art because of the color.
Basquiat.
Basquiat.
Okay.
Yeah, Michel Basquiat.
Okay.
I love the way he uses color and the contrast and just the popping. And there's many artists, even like some of my friends. Like Kofi Frimpong is an amazing artist. He's an artist that gave me great advice when I was coming from the football industry and wanted to kind of take art more serious. I just reached out to him. I didn't know him at all.
So see, that's the difference.
Yeah.
When people, I just want to pause there because people tend to not reach out to people, and I find that's the most devastating thing you can ever do for yourself if you want to progress. So you literally reached out to the person cold.
I can remember specifically doing it. It was probably a week or two after I came back from my season in 2019, and I just knew, I'm like, I'm a really press.
Yeah.
Let's go on this thing now.
And then the reaction has been so great, like just what I've seen on social media. You currently have an exhibition. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? How did you get that going? Because it's, to me, I've never done anything like that. So if you can just explain what goes into producing something like that, and it's still on. So if you want to, direct some people to come check you out, that'll be a great time now. But if if you can explain how you got that going and what does it take to put something together?
There were many steps.
Yeah.
Before the actual exhibition I have in at the Niagara History Museum right now, it's the Tool of Tools, Niagara. But before this exhibition, I held my first exhibition in April 22. It was April 30th, so last summer, and I did that one I just knew I wanted to hold the exhibition. I said, any way, anyhow, I'm gonna make it. Make it happen.
How many pieces do you have?
So for the first exhibition, I would say, it was 14. 14 pieces. I started making them in 21 of October, and I just kept going. And I just knew I had to make that exhibition happen. It was a one-day exhibition. The first one, it was just called the Tool of Tools.
Tool of Tools.
Yeah.
Okay.
And me and wifey made it happen, man.
Yeah.
We went there. We set them up the same day, held it down, and then the same night we had to take them down.
Right.
And I got from there. I just being able to have that crowd and be able to explain myself to the audience and really put it out there was really motivating, gratifying because I was able to see my vision come to life.
Oh, it's the best. Isn't it the best feeling?
Amazing. And that's what I feel like just from that alone, betting on myself and making that happen and being able to see it in reality, I was like, okay, I'm gonna really push this now.
And there's no faking when it comes to people appreciating, especially artwork, dude.
Yeah.
Like either that piece is good or it's not. And personally, I feel like there's a lot of you in your work. When did you decide that's what you're gonna keep doing? When did you decide to say to yourself, okay, I think I'm just gonna express myself and I'm not gonna put pieces out there, be creative to what's trending or what's not? How did you come up to that conclusion? Because you do say that.
That was I would say that was during the pandemic.
Okay.
Because no, not the pandemic, in 21. That was in 2021. Because in early 2021 I was preparing to go back for my season. And we never had a season in 2020 due to the pandemic. So I had a lot more time to prepare.
Yeah.
It's the best shape of my life. I was like, hey, this is really it. I established myself in BC. Things were going great. And I was ready to go in 21. So a week before training camp, I got into a serious car accident, life-changing car accident. I don't really put it out there much, but it is what it is, you know? So that devastated me because I felt the best I ever felt. And then that just kind of shook up my world. And at that point in time, even in the ambulance, I was still thinking about my team.
Right.
I was like, man, what am I gonna do? I got training camp next week. And my wife is like,
that's the athlete in you.
She's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You have a concussion. Like, relax.
Yeah.
You know, so I couldn't get myself out of that. I couldn't shake that for a bit. So then I just went back to my art. Like, it was my therapy.
It's your therapy.
It was my therapy. And once I dove into that, I was kind of battling with, like, the fact that I couldn't release what I wanted to release on the field. So I'm like, you know what? To stay true to myself, I'm going to put it in my art. And that's when I felt like I was completely unapologetic about what I was putting out. Because I truly feel like I can't, well, it is what it is. I can't make everyone happy. I can't make everyone like my art. Yeah. But whoever likes it and whoever gravitates towards it will.
Yeah. That's why we have 6 billion people.
Exactly.
Right?
And it's not like I'm trying to make everyone.
Yeah.
I admire the constructive criticism. Yeah. It gives you a different perspective. You know, I like to hear the opposite of what I'm thinking because it may challenge me to create something better. Right. But that's when I really made that decision. Like, you know what? I'm gonna put me in my art and the things that I gravitate towards and the things that I admire. Yeah. You know.
So there's a lot of love in your pieces. I find love of oneself. Yes. The love of sports, that being taken away from you. What's that like, brother? Because I think when it comes to athletes, a lot of people don't understand that everything you put in as an athlete. Yeah. It's like, you know, I had Daniel Mullins on the show, not from the Niagara River Lions, and he had an injury himself, and he told me that it was the most devastating moment of his time. What helped you? What did you do to go over that? And I know you don't want to go in too deep of it. I just feel like it's such a good content to get out there for men in your position, athletes in your position. Yeah. You know,
I embrace my reality.
Yeah.
I embrace my reality. I feel like it's very important. Yeah. You could keep running from something, but it'll keep chasing you. Yeah. But once you decide to kind of stop and turn around and look at what it is, then you got to kind of break it down. And while you break it down, you're building yourself up. You know, so I had to do that. And I just kind of started to break down little things that were around me. Like, for instance, I was so into football while I was doing it. Whenever I'm really into it. I pour into it. So I would always go away. I'm gone for 6 months, and then I'm here for 6 months. I have 2 amazing children. My daughter is 6, my son is 3. At the beginning of my career, I was drafted the same year my daughter was born. Mm-hmm. So there's a crazy story behind that. Yeah. And I had my daughter. She was born May 20th. Uh-huh. I was drafted, and it was like one of the most exciting moments of my life because of the things I had to go through in university to get there, and then to be rewarded with like being drafted so high, being the first running back drafted. I was on a high. Had my daughter, and 2 days after I had to go to training camp. Broke me. Yeah. Broke me. Yeah. I would be in training camp in my room studying plays, and like my mind is still in Toronto. Like, you know, like I should be there with my daughter. Yeah. So that was tough for me. But
so it's like the rug. Like life is so interesting, eh?
Yeah,
you got the high and lows.
Constant test, man.
It's like the yin and the yang. I feel like I always say, you know, the good and the bad. However, but dealing with that and honing that what your reality is so key and so important. Yeah. Obviously, art saved you along the way. Yeah. You know, constant expression of yourself out there, and that's pretty powerful. And it's really difficult, I feel, for certain people because it seems like you happen very quickly for you to get there. What was that? How did you come up with that? Because a lot of people couldn't get deep into depression, and I mean, it seems like with the timeline you were mentioning, it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
You had no choice, I think.
Fast. Kind of.
Became a father or something.
Yeah, it's just, a lot of it's just like, my children motivate me. Yeah. And being home with them all the time, it's like, yeah, they're watching. They watch everything you do. And that motivates me. Like, for instance, if I wake up early, I like to wake up at 4:30. I'm in a group of guys that we motivate each other to do that. Yeah. And it's 4:30. 4:30. 4:30. It ain't fun, but it works, you know? Yeah. So they'll wake up and they'll see me in the kitchen, either reading or preparing and so forth, and then they'll just try and copy me. Right. They see me painting, they'll pull out their little easel, their little colors, and they'll do the same thing. So with them seeing that and with me being able to get out of body and really see that experience, it motivates me to keep doing it.
Right.
Because I want to, whatever they aspire to be, I just want to show them the work ethic aspect to it.
So there's two set of eyes on you at all times.
All the time.
Then there's, you know, the wife.
Yes.
Then there's your work.
Yes.
Then there's your, you know, everyday thing. A lot of pressure.
It can be, but
yeah,
I don't focus on that.
That's right.
The pressure is what I put on myself.
Right.
Like, you know, that those are the things that from sports, from football, that I've been able to, I would say, like, re-engineer or bring with me. Because it's like, to get to the league, I had to want to get to the league. Like, my family, my friends, my coaches, they could want it for me as much as they want, but I had to do the work with their support, you know? So taking that knowledge, taking that experience from sports, I try to take the gems from that and pour it into my art. Yeah, I'm starting from square one again, but I have wisdom now that I can apply to my new field, you know?
And it's working. It's working.
Yeah.
So I also want to talk about your football career as well. So you just said the first running back to get into the CFL, right from university.
In my 2016 draft, I was the first running back drafted.
Yeah. Canadians don't have it easy, man. I feel like, especially because, you know, the way our funding works and you know the support of athletes, very minimal. Everything you've had to do, like I think you were just mentioning, you had to do for yourself all the way along. And obviously there's, you know, your coaches, your mentors that are up there. That's also an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And something to be very proud of. Do you miss it? Do you want to get back into it as far as maybe from a coaching standpoint, or where's football for you right now?
I wouldn't want to coach.
Yeah.
I know that's not something I want to do. I wouldn't mind doing giving the knowledge and my experience to a young individual.
Yes.
In my position, I would just pay it forward, because a lot of the knowledge and experience that I have has been paid forward to me. I do get an itch sometimes to go back.
Yeah.
I would consider myself a competitor.
Yeah.
I like to take on challenges, and my daughter, she consistently asks me, "Daddy, you going back? You gonna go back and play? You gonna go back and play?" And just hearing her say that, it does something to me.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
you're her hero, you know?
Yeah. But I want to show her I'm that in different ways.
Right. Okay.
You know, it's like, for instance, a lot of people that know me from sports. I would say from young, if you ask, you know, you have the little yearbooks from like elementary school, middle school.
Like what's your favorite?
What would you think this classmate's gonna be? Like, everyone kind of threw me in the athletic, into athletics, but for myself, I don't like to put limits on myself, and that's why I feel like I'm so unapologetic about my art now.
Yeah, because
of all of that knowledge. It's just like I'm capable of more than you see.
Right.
And capable of more than I know. Right. And I want to tap into that as much as I can.
Love that, man.
You know?
Love that. So one thing I noticed is that you're in schools talking to young people as well.
Yeah.
And it's all empowering. Like the way you're lecturing, the words that you're using, you know, I can, I will, I did. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And are you in schools now? You know, like what's that side of it? Is it more towards the athletic part of your background, or is it more art, or both?
Both.
Yeah.
It's me. It's me. Yeah. And I it's not something how would I say it? It's what I know I have to do.
Gotcha.
Public speaking has never been my thing.
Yeah.
I was always nervous to do it, but it's bigger than myself, and I realized that. And my wife said to me, she's like, "There's nothing to be nervous about. The only thing you have to focus on is," she's like, "look at it like this. If you had the opportunity to go back and talk to your younger self, and you have this knowledge, this is something you have to do."
That's a perfect advice, man. That's a great advice.
And once that was said, I was like, all right. I gotta do it.
Just to reimagine you as a younger self, and not in that gym as you're speaking, and everything just comes naturally.
Yeah, because like in that gym, it was like the first one I did was like 700 kids.
Yes,
and it's like I know I may not touch everyone in there, but it's just one person.
Oh,
all I need is one person. Yeah. That's it, and it was a lot more. Yeah. So just to see the other side of it, of how much people related and gravitated towards my experience. And how I made that pivot from football to art and continue to grow and aspire to do things in my life. There's so much people that are going through that on a day-to-day. We just don't know. If you don't say it, you won't know who connects to it, right? So
100%.
I took that opportunity, and I'm seeing how it's growing.
And for me, like personally, like sports has, put a structure in place where I could have chosen to go one way or the other. Has that done the same thing for you growing up?
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me everything.
It saved me,
but
for
seriously,
sure.
It saved you, right?
It saved me, for sure. It put my focus elsewhere.
Yeah.
And when I say it saved me, I was in a sense where I don't regret anything I've been through. It equipped me with the things that I appreciate and how to handle myself on a day-to-day. And I appreciate all the individuals that were around me and groomed me. I always hung out with with men that were older than me. And, I grew up a little bit faster than I would say I should, but I appreciate it. I'm grateful for it because, like now, as being an adult, I'm able to pay that knowledge forward.
Well, I always say being too sheltered kind of actually bites you in the ass a little bit later in life.
100%.
You see it a little earlier.
The world is the world, man.
Yeah. If you see it a little
world.
earlier, you can pivot, and get away with, some very bad stuff, right? So, so you're in schools. Are you in schools pretty much all across Ontario right now?
It's wherever, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm willing to network and connect with anybody.
Nice.
My thing is culture, community, connectivity. I'm huge on that. Huge on that. Yeah. I feel like I had the opportunity to, while I was playing ball, we would go to schools, we would connect, but that's not my only way to do that. I don't have to be a professional athlete to be connecting with others. It's me. It's my experience.
Way more.
Exactly. Yeah. I am way more. Yeah,
I am way more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's how I present myself, no matter where I am and no matter who I'm speaking to. Yeah. It's the life experiences, and it's not like I'm coming as if like this is what I've been through and this is how it's gonna affect your life. It's just me being me.
My story.
And whatever you grab from me, you grab from me, man.
Right.
Because that's how I grow too. I love meeting people. I love connecting with others, and there's something from their experience that I could grow from as well.
Well, with your exhibition, I'm sure you're meeting like a whole different people, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I love it. I love it, man.
And that speaks to what your work is, like gravitating all walks of life.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So the business side of things is, this podcast is celebrating entrepreneur and their mindset. The business of art. What's that like?
Oh man, it could be rough at times, man. It's real, but like football wasn't always sweet.
That's right.
Football wasn't always sweet, man. And that's the knowledge and experience that I could bring to art. Like I can't just act like things are just gonna happen like that. Before I went to the league, there was years I was grinding, training, taking the butt. There'll be times I was training at a gym called LPS. If you're a professional athlete, minor athlete, if you're an athlete that wants to take your athletics serious, go to LPS. That's the place to go.
Is that in Toronto?
Yeah.
Okay.
Toronto. Helped me change my life. I would say that gym saved my life.
Yeah.
And it just kind of helped me turn the switch. So just to get there, I lived in Rexdale at the time, and that was all the way downtown. I had to take the bus, streetcar, the train, every single morning to get there, back and forth. And from there, I would go to Costco.
Tell them the work, man.
No one grind.
They don't know the work.
I had to grind. But I don't regret it. It made me me. Yeah. So even with art now, it's like, like I got to experience the sweetness of ball, of being in the league, but it's not gonna happen just like that. Right. You get spurts of it. You see it, and like I always like to imagine things before they happen. Like playing in the league, I imagine it before it happened, and I do that with my art now. And it's just a constant reminder to myself, like I know what I want to achieve, and it takes work. Waking up early, it takes work. Studying, grinding, meeting new people, networking, approaching in different ways, being willing to expand, doing different niches and different styles. Like, just because I work with acrylic paint right now on canvas, that doesn't mean I'm gonna be doing that forever.
Right.
I could expand to something else. I could become a mural artist.
Right.
You know, I'm just willing to grow. I'm willing to learn more.
Right.
And I always remember this. I remember Jay-Z saying it. Yeah. All it takes is one.
Of course.
It just takes one.
Just that one.
Yeah.
And so you understand that there's work behind it. There's time behind it. There's patience behind it. One thing you can maybe tell everybody, someone that is who's an artist, what is the one thing that you can tell them to, as far as branding and marketing and getting your work out there? I know you're doing exhibitions and everything, but where did you start?
Where did I start?
Yeah, where did you start to say, hey, I want to get paid for my work. How do I get the attention towards that?
I would say social media.
Okay.
I wouldn't throw it into one category. I feel like different people have different avenues. Some people don't even use social media and they're booming.
Yeah.
It could be word of mouth, right?
Yeah.
It's different things. But for myself, I love word of mouth because it's a real experience that's felt, that someone feels that they need to share with someone else.
Gotcha.
That's very authentic. I feel like that's one of my favorite ways for my work to be shared, because it's an experience that someone is itching to share with someone else.
Right.
And once they do that, it's like it makes other people want to experience that as well.
Right.
For a young artist that's out there and that really wants to put their work out there, I don't know what the specific or special way would be, but I would say however you genuinely feel that you want to put your work out there, that's the right way for you.
Right. And how important is the branding your work and the face behind it, and getting you as Wayne Moore out along with your pieces? Do they have to coincide? Obviously, it's your work, but
it is.
The expression who Wayne Moore is, what we're talking about, like how important is that to get out there so people know you a little bit more intimately, right?
I feel like it's very important.
Yeah.
It's been something I've been thinking about a lot recently as well, because I truly feel like no matter how great my work may be, it's the individual that people want to connect with.
I found that too.
You know? It's the individual. If people connect with me and they're like, you know what, this young man is a cool young man. Like I like his vibe. It's him.
Exactly.
Then they'll gravitate toward whatever I'm creating, whatever I'm doing. Yeah. Like, you know, there's people that follow me along my football journey that just knew me as a person, that gravitate towards my art because they admire the journey. They admire me as a person and the things that I'm going through. So I feel like they go hand in hand.
Hand in hand.
That's how I want it to be. I don't want it to be, I'll be all about the art, because I do want to do art for the rest of my life, but I don't know what the plans are, you know?
Well, part of your branding, I heard, I picked up on that just doing my research on you, is that there's a storytelling part of it. And I think that's important. Can you tell us about some of your pieces that speak to that story?
There's numerous stories. One, as you asked that question, one that kind of popped in my head right away was my piece called Balance.
Balance.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that I created during the pandemic, and it's a representation of football and art in my life, and that transition, like, you know, and just know, like, it was on pause, and football was on pause, and I had to kind of question myself at the time, like, hey man, like, I was always told you can't do this forever, but I'm feeling it right now. Like, I can't. Like, I literally can't play right now. So what am I gonna do? Yeah. And once I kind of dove into my art, the same feeling or gratification that I would be getting from football, I started feeling it coming from the art. And I'm like, okay, let me dive into this for real. And within this piece, it just exemplifies my journey within both. It's the balance that I found between head and heart. So there's different symbolism in there that kind of just exemplifies that. Right. You know, there's times when my heart was in football, but my mind will be on art. There's times like right now, my heart's all in my art, but sometimes, you know, the football kind of itches my mind. But it's just that balance. And I feed them both. Right. If I may not be playing football still, but I may train just to get that feeling. Right. And I kind of switched that mindset as well. Like, I don't train for football no more. I train for life. Right. you know?
Right.
So
right.
it's something I could kind of keep with me forever.
Well, you say left brain and
Right brain.
Right brain.
Yeah.
So which one is which?
It's both.
Yeah.
It's both. It's like, okay, so for me, I have another piece as well. It's a football helmet. It's my first ever football helmet.
Isn't that in the casing that I saw? Yeah.
So it's my
Nice.
first ever football helmet I got in grade 9. That's when I started playing football. And I kept it with me all these years. And I always had it with me. No matter where I moved to, I always brought it with me. And when I moved to Niagara, it's like I started creating the pieces for the exhibition. And I said, yo, I got to use this. I got to use this. So I painted on it. I painted it gold because I'm like, I may not be playing no more, but this is my trophy. You know, it was a representation of my trophy and all the things that I did for myself. I was proud of my accomplishments, sticking to the journey, and achieving that goal of the things I wanted to do in football.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, how do I connect this to who I am and where I am now? And I said, you know what? I'm gonna paint on it.
Yeah.
And it was just to exemplify.
Is it a real helmet?
Yeah, my real helmet. My real helmet from grade 9.
Oh man.
From West Humber Collegiate.
That is nice. That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So did you have to sand it down all bare
Yeah,
and stuff like that?
I sanded it down.
Yeah.
I spray painted it gold. I started painting hands on it because that's a representation of tool of tools. Our tool of tools is our hands.
Right.
And I've even put like a portion on it which is like football plays, some of my favorite football plays. And it just kind of represents like the art and the football aspect. You know, the athletics and I would say just the art aspect to it, you know?
Yeah. So I know playing football, you got to be in a certain mode, you know, warrior-like mode. And you know what I'm saying? You're in a little bit of your own, you know, in the trance of, I'm going to run through this guy or person, you know, other players and defeating the competitive side. And you got to be in a certain element. What's the switch like when you're doing art? Or do you have the same type of approach?
It's always
deliverables.
There. It's always there.
Yeah.
Like
I know you athletes, man.
You gotta have it. You gotta have it, and it's very important to have it.
Yeah.
It's a sense of self-control. You know, sometimes you see athletes getting themselves in trouble because they can't turn the switch off.
Right.
Like, you know,
right.
I learned that in the gym, how to activate it. Like I don't always have to be grungy when I'm on the road and interacting with people. I could just laugh and smile and be kind. But when I'm in the gym, my friend could be right beside me, and who are you? Yeah, it's work time. It's work time. It's a switches on. Right. And then when we're in the change room after that, we're laughing, cracking jokes because they have the same switch as well. Yeah. With art now, that switch is there. It's there, but it's a different aspect of me. It's the focus aspect. It may not be the grit. Like, you know, there's nothing for me to throw around and things like that. I may get aggressive. I may want to express however I'm feeling with the specific piece of art. Maybe some aggression, maybe some empathy, maybe some, you know, emotion, different type of emotion, but it comes out differently. It's mainly the zone. Right. I hit a zone, and I like to, once I'm in the creative process, like even brainstorming, there may be times like I kind of zone out.
Well, let me ask you something about that, because the accountability when you're creating is way more. But when you're an athlete, there's accountability. You have your running back coach, your head coach, and coordinator. Yeah. Who's coaching you when you're? That's pretty. Yeah.
I never thought about that. That's dope. That's dope.
Because athletes, it's that dependent of criticism, creative criticism. It's very important. That's how we gauge it. So, who's critiquing you while you're self-critiquing? Yeah. I think
it's a lot of self-critiquing, but like I said earlier, it's just like that's why I like to interact with different people. Yeah. Like when I'm at the exhibit, sometimes I'm there and people will be walking around and I don't present myself as way more. I just want to be in there with them. Love like I'm just viewing the exhibit. Yeah. And if
you're just there for the day.
I'm just there for the day, but I want to see how they authentically interact with the work. Yeah. If they just come in and out, people interact with things differently. And that's what I like to observe. That's my way of taking away the constructive criticism, because if I see someone standing in front of my painting for a while, maybe that's something they gravitate towards. I may come and introduce myself and say I'm the artist and ask them what is it that this painting brings to them, but just different things, different interactions, different observations. But those are the ways that I kind of take back to when I'm painting to kind of grow and evolve.
So that's where it's the expression.
That's an aspect of it.
Yeah, that's the aspect. But it's so important, and you're so humble about it, and, and you're open to it. Mm-hmm. You're not blocking people's views, because really, when it comes down to it, it's really about the viewer. And
yes,
I thought that's what art is about. What does that do for that person viewing it? Right?
Who does it speak to?
Who does it speak to? And so, you're open in that, so you could go back, and next time you're putting a piece, and you kind of maybe get inspiration, and it helps you just to design the next thing,
Because a big part of that is it all comes back to being true to me.
Gotcha.
If I'm true to me, and it's based on the pressure that I'm putting on myself, and not exterior pressure, then I'll be true to my vision each and every time.
Right.
But if I'm focused on the exterior voices and exterior thoughts, then I'll be getting pulled in every single direction.
Correct.
And then I won't know what I actually want to do, So if I'm just able to kind of take, I'm listening to everything that's going on, but that's not what's fueling me.
But you know what? To your point, though, I absolutely get that.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. But once the piece is done, it's done.
It's done.
And then you're just letting it flow.
Kind of. Because
right.
There's something I did.
Oh, really?
I learned in school.
You go back to the lab?
Sometimes.
Okay.
I learned in school.
Yeah.
I never really liked art in school. I didn't like art in school.
That's hilarious.
Because I felt like it was too in a box. Like, this is the assignment. This is what you're doing. And I always felt like, hey, what if my creativity wants to kind of go outside of that? Am I going to be graded because I went outside, graded? Are my grades going to be taken away because I went outside that box? But that's when my creativity was speaking.
Right.
It's saying to me, So I heard though in school it was art is never done.
Art's never done.
Art is never done.
Wow.
So that's something that kind of stood out to me.
Yeah.
So there'll be times that I'm creating and I'll feel like, there's an idea that I have and I'll let it all out.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just leave it there for a bit and maybe I'll come back to it later.
Well,
I'll come back to it like a few weeks or months after and be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Okay, I keep looking at this area of the art. Okay, I need to add this.
Right.
And if I need to add it, I'll add it.
Do you have a timeline for any piece? Do you need to put a timeline to get it done?
It depends. Like for the exhibit, I had to really chop. There's certain times I had to devote to certain pieces, or if it's like a commission piece, I tell the person a certain duration of time, and I want to stick to that.
Right.
But every piece is different. Mm-hmm. Every single piece is different.
How many exhibitions now? You're living in Niagara right now, right? How many exhibitions are there in Niagara right now?
Like as a whole?
As a whole, roughly.
I don't know. I don't know.
The thing is, how many do you know of?
I would say there's a lot ongoing.
Yeah.
There is. I would say like 5 right now.
5.
There's 5 because I know there's a few artists that have been having their exhibits in different areas as well.
So there's from Niagara to Hamilton. I'm sure there's so many.
There's
tons.
Exhibitions all over.
Yeah.
All over. There's numerous in Niagara, numerous in Hamilton. Now that I'm thinking of it too, like different artists are popping up in my head, and I know they have their work going on elsewhere as well. So,
okay. One last question, and then just a couple questions I wanted to cover. What is your thoughts on AI and art?
I'm not. I've never really been like a huge technology guy.
Yeah.
That's just been you ask any of my friends. Yeah. I've always been outside. I used to I'm outside playing with sports and all that stuff, or I'm drawing, painting. Yeah. I'm not a video game player. I never really been huge into technology like that.
Right.
I feel like with AI, it's really creative and it could take things over and beyond, but it's not, from my experience, it's not something authentic, like a human being that I could. There's emotion behind it. There's reasoning. There's
you can't replicate that.
You can't replicate it. You can't.
That.
And that's what I appreciate.
Unless you're a robot.
Yeah. I appreciate that more.
Yeah.
The real authenticity of a human.
It's nice. It's kind of cool.
It's cool of where it can take it. Yeah. Like it's something that you can look at. The exposure can go over and beyond, but I feel like a human's mind is endless.
There's something about being the original.
Yeah.
There's some people tend to appreciate the original.
Yeah.
You know, my producer Jay is actually an artist himself, and I always say he compares his, you know, his original art and compares it with his AI, and I always pick the original.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to see, but I always say, hey, there's something about it, you know.
And
yeah.
Didn't humans create AI?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So it just shows you, right? Humans have endless capabilities
Yeah.
of
So,
what
but
they
it's
can
very
create.
interesting. It's a new thing. I wanted to get your take on it.
Yeah.
And I wanted just to talk about also just before we go, fatherhood, being a father.
Yeah.
Your face lights up
Yeah,
every
man.
time, you know, I mention family.
Yeah.
We're going back and forth. What's that like? And what do you want to tell people? You know,
Undescribable.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's definitely transformed me as a person. I embrace it each and every day. I'm very grateful. I have a beautiful daughter and an amazing son.
Yeah.
And both of their personalities, like you see just of yourself. Like, you know, my best friend said to me when my daughter was born, he's like, it's like your heart running around with legs.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's your heart right there running around. Like,
Right.
you know, and I truly feel like that.
Yeah.
You know, they bring out different parts of you,
Yeah.
but it's not about me.
Yeah.
It's not about me. It's being able to help them in any which way I can.
Right.
And being there along their journey, you know?
Right.
And witnessing their journey also fuels my journey. They fuel me, I fuel them. We fill up each other's cups.
Right.
And I want to be there for them as long as I can, you know?
You got both of two worlds. You got a boy and a girl.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And it
Are they
definitely-
alike or a little
They're alike
different? Yeah.
and they're different.
Yeah.
They're very alike in numerous ways and
Yeah.
they're different. But I embrace it. I love
Yeah.
it. Like they challenge your mind to think
Yeah.
differently, to think outside the box. It's easy for you to kind of throw your ways of living in life onto another person.
Yeah.
But when you take that step back and you kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
how do you want to do this?
Yeah.
Like, where's your mind taking this right now?
Yeah.
And you kind of challenge them to explain it, then that's where you get the gem.
My guy.
The gems pop up.
Wayne
you know?
Moore, thanks so much for coming on, brother.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for
I'd love
having
to have
me.
you back again.
Yes.
And yeah, thank you, my guy.
No doubt,
Appreciate
man.
ya.
Appreciate you having me, yo. For real.